Before the workshop, the Secretariat has received 5 questions. Maybe we can start with these questions first. Here's the first one. I would like to know the funding opportunities for early careers researchers. Preferably, I would also like to see the project outlines of successful applicants. May we invite Professor Lee to answer the question?
Thank you very much for the question. Well, this is important to let everybody know that the panel has been doing their due diligence in evaluating your proposals. Regarding the proposal, we have successfully found 110 proposals in the last round, and for all the proposals, I guarantee that the panel members as well as external reviewers have gone through your proposals carefully, and we do, judge your proposal based on academic merit, which is very, very important. And for the detailed evaluation criteria, just now I have mentioned the detailed evaluation criteria already. So if our members have anything to add, I will welcome my subject conveners and my panel members to share their views.
Okay, here comes the next question. After submitting a proposal that initially received a score of 3.5 and observing no improvement in the score upon resubmission after revisions in the second year, I would appreciate the panel's guidance on the following. A, should I continue to refine and resubmit the proposal? B, what are the chances of securing funding if I proceed with further submissions? And C, alternatively, given the competitive landscapes of the FDS, would it be more prudent to consider shifting focus towards a new proposal?
Okay, so this is a very, I would say, important questions. Well, last year, we received 400 proposals. Eventually, 110 were successfully funded. That means, right, more than 200 proposals were not funded. For those unfunded proposals, many of the proposals received the rating 3.5. So, we would like to encourage, as I mentioned, we would like to encourage the PIs who received average funding 3.5 to carefully review the comments from the external reviewers and make improvements. We do encourage you to resubmit your unfunded proposals if you receive or average rating 3.5. Honestly, over the past many years, I do observe that one proposal, the unfunded proposal, after, one or two rounds of resubmission, eventually the proposal were successfully funded. So we do see some successful stories based on our past observations. Well, for the last question, if you tried 3 or 4 times already, but there's still no luck, well, you can still choose to continue with your current topic with some refinement. But we would like to suggest you to go back to do all, carefully thinking. To think about the following aspects. The first one, well, is this topic significant enough? But by means significant, I mean both theoretically significant and practically significant. If the answer is yes, okay, even I failed 4 times already, I still believe my topic is both theoretically important as well as practically important even nowadays. You may continue with your current project. But if after you do some analysis, you find out, well, okay, this topic has been studied many, many times, and this topic has already received a lot of extended intention in the literature, probably you can, redirect your research direction, not a totally different area, but in a related area. Any other suggestions, panel members? Yeah.
Okay, perhaps I can add my comment on that. Whether you resubmit it the 3rd time or the 4th time, of course, it's up to individual researcher. But when I read resubmitted proposal, first of all, I would like to see whether you have addressed appropriately, effectively, the comments from the first reviewer. all right? And sometimes I have come across proposals, PI rejected, argued against the comments of the initial reviewers. For me, it's fine. But what I would be expecting is your second submission or third submission must be significantly an improvement. What I'm looking at perhaps is what we call academic rigor.
Thank you. And then the third question is also about resubmission. So what's the success rate for resubmissions in the past years?
This is a very, detailed question. Well, let me try to recall the numbers. As I mentioned, last year we received 400 proposals and we successfully funded 120. And well, among the 400 proposals, we received roughly like 100 resubmissions. To be precise, 96 resubmissions. So for these 96 resubmissions, roughly around 30 were supported. Probably 32 were supported. So you can do the math. So a significant number of resubmissions were supported. That's a very encouraging news, right?
So the fourth question, in the domain of acoustics, may I respectfully request the panel to elucidate the hard categories of research projects that the RGC predominantly supports through the funding for FDS? Furthermore, does the RGC exhibit a preference for fundamental research as opposed to application-oriented research, or is there an alternative prioritization in place?
First question, you may refer to the list of project titles of funded FDS projects on the RGC website. And then for the second question, both basic and applied research given equal emphasis. And as Professor Lee has mentioned, academic quality is the most important consideration. And we have external reviewers, panel members, who have the required expertise to assess proposals based on academic quality and merit. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wong. So here's the fifth question. Could the panel kindly elaborate on the factors considered when assessing the influence and effectiveness of conceptual papers? Maybe we invite our humanities subject panels to address the question.
Okay, for me, whether it's conceptual studies or empirical studies, what we would be looking at would be impact, pathway to impact statement. It doesn't mean that the more pedagogically oriented studies would not be evaluated in a different way from a conceptual study. So pay attention to how you phrase the impact statement.
Thank you. So now is your turn. If you have a question in mind, please raise your hand. Our colleague will pass you the mic. Please state your name and your institution before asking the questions. Any question from the floor? All right. If you have more questions coming up after the workshop, you are welcome to send it to the Secretariat via your research coordinators. So before the end of the workshop, we would also like to thank again Professor Timothy Tong, Chairman of the RGC, Professor Julie Lee, Chair of the Assessment Panels, our subject conveners and panel representatives, Professor Cheng Ai Heng, Professor Cecilia Chen, Professor Angela Leung, and Professor Wong Hao Sang. Our honorable guest speakers, Professor Alice Chong, Dr. John Choi, Dr. Daisy Lee, and Dr. Helen Ma. 26 PIs who showcased their research achievements during the poster sections earlier this afternoon. And of course, all of you for joining us today. I hope you all enjoyed today's event. The RGC would also like to thank the Hang Seng University of Hong Kong for providing us this venue and the kind support for making today's event happen. Last but not least, we would love to hear your comments. The online questionnaire on today's poster section and the workshop will be sent to you via your research coordinators afterwards. Thank you and see you next year.